And what is going on, everybody? So, welcome to another episode of the Phillies Talk Podcast. You know how it is. Well, it's all things Phillies baseball. There's pregame coverages, all that good stuff. Obviously, tonight we'll start the the Blue Jays series up in Toronto, and there's a few things that I want to kind of go over a little bit. If you have not seen how I covered the Blue Jays and Mariners previously, but before we kind of get into further, if you guys are new to the channel, make sure you smash that like button, hit that subscribe button if you guys are new, and definitely share out the content. Every little bit helps to really help this channel grow. Going forward, we all know that next month is the trade deadline. I will be covering the trade deadline live on the channel as well. Kind of talk about a few things, but what's good, normal guy? What's good, G? What's good, Adrian? You guys are tuning in. Obviously, the Phillies are in Toronto, take on a 2 games. The Blues on a 2-game set. Let's put it this way: I feel like this is where I think at times, if I have not paid attention to what JT had to say and all this shit, but I'm not going to go over. But Canada, absolutely with all the shit's been going on, obviously with the pandemic and what yada yada yada. Didn't want to take the damn thing, and it's costing the team pretty much not going to missing 2 days. Pretty much the series in Toronto, forfeiting almost almost $500,000, basically. And just really has not. Let's be real, not the kind of guy that I wouldn't want to have on my team. Not to mention the fact that, obviously, Bohm, I'll give him a pass because he's going to be out anyways for not say a significant amount of time, but he's going to miss some time with a dislocated finger. And, for those who have not suffered this, dislocated finger, that shit's not fun. Let's keep it that way. From my personal experience anyways. But kind of going on the forward to that, it's that, after splitting the series with the Cardinals, which, let's be real, the Phillies should not have. Let's be real, the Cardinals are not that great of a team. I think they're still a below average team, but I still think they still have some good players on that team. Number one, we shouldn't, like I said, we shouldn't split the series with, or it's St. Louis anyways, against the Cardinals. But in the end, we still did take 3 or 4 or 2. Well, like I said, split the series. But the better case scenario was to basically kind of just take 3 or 4 from the Cardinals, because let's be real, they're already tied for us for the third wild card spot. And obviously with the Cardinals playing the Dodgers, let's be real, I hope the Dodgers can sweep the goddamn Cardinals, because it's been way too long for most of us Phillies fans to really experience postseason baseball. It's really ridiculous at this point. And like I said about the trade deadline, there's a couple guys, that I kind of want to take a look at, or hopefully the Phillies could actually, hopefully try to at least pull the trigger at some point. Is that, nobody cares. No, because there's a couple, more than a few people that I think the Phillies are kind of linked to. Like I did mention one, in my previous episode, the Phillies are still linked to David Robertson from the Cubs, and we have Frankie Montas from the Oakland A's. And something that also Andrew Benintendi from the Kansas City Royals, because let's be real, our outfielder what's good, Almighty? What is good? Like I said, our outfielders has not been the best. we're definitely getting Harper back sooner rather than later, which is good for us by any say the least. Let's just kind of see. This was actually written 6 days ago. So Gabriel Star actually brought up. She wrote an article basically titling "Unexpected Trade Target would be perfect fit for Phillies," which is, I'm very interested on how. Other than the pitching, we're still looking at for the trade deadline. It's definitely looking for some outfield help, because Grayling has been pretty decent for us on a good stretch. Herrera has been hit or miss, Mickey Money, I can pretty much we can cut our losses with him at the trade deadline. Um, and like I said, and I even said this too. Like the last couple of episodes I've done, like I've been very, as of recently, been very highly critical of Mickey Moniak because the fact we spent the number one overall pick on him, which also featured the likes of Nick Senzel, Pete Alonso for a perfect example, just to name a few out of that draft class, that 2016 draft class, but really hasn't helped us. One name that, from what this article actually kind of mentioned, was Jock Peterson, because if you really think about it, because the Giants have, for some reason, took a little bit of a down spiral as of recent, because the last couple of years, if you really think about it, I mean, like on Derek God, like I said, I'll talk about that on my Eagles show right now, because like I said, this is all about Phillies talk at the moment, I should say. I will talk about Derek Gunn's thing on my Eagles show sometime out of this week or next week. But obviously, then it goes to say that the Jock Peterson so far this season is slashing 274, 342, 567 with a 909 OPS this year, and 10 doubles, 17 homers in 70 games. Definitely, I wouldn't mind having something like a Jock Peterson, because let's be real, because Castellanos has not been the best in the outfield for us. Schwarber actually has been playing better as a defensively as of recent. So that's remains. So I mean, right now, I mean, Berlin can be, and also not having Bone too. We also got to definitely trade for a third baseman at the same time. Now looking at it now, and again, we can also probably put Stott there, because I think Stott has played decently at third base, so that could be an option. When it comes to shortstops, I mean, we're definitely. I mean, Didi's on an expiring deal tomorrow. What do I have tomorrow? Actually, Randall. That's funny. I actually have I have a different baseball shoot that I have scheduled later on that day. Obviously, what's tomorrow? The 14th. What's today? Today's 13th, correct? No, tomorrow's 13th. I don't even know what I have scheduled at this point. But shout out to the 4 people, though. I appreciate those who are just tuning in. Yeah. So basically, for those who kind of don't know this show, it's pretty much story. We just talk all things Phillies baseball. Tomorrow's the 13th. I might have something scheduled that day to be seen. I probably have a morning, or the morning, I should say. Then let's see, 13. Yeah, pretty much. Other than that, I mean, kind of go back to finishing my thought on Jock Peterson. Like I said, kind of go to finish my thought on Peterson. This is another guy that I win the outfield, because Castellanos has, let's keep it a buck here, below average in the outfield, and better below average as a hitter. So that can probably be an option. And obviously with DD on the aspiring contract, I would not mind going after Xander Bogaerts, because I think Xander Bogaerts is still a good shortstop offensively, but I'd rather and he's been somewhat better as a defender. No, do I think I know he did say he didn't want to resign to Boston, because let's be real, Boston has kind of flattering in the AL East as a recent. That's just kind of my take on it. And then I don't know. It's just something that has been. I don't know. It's Bogaerts I wouldn't mind having along with Jock Peterson. That's another guy that's been kind of on my radar. I think another guy that I like that Phillies fans, even though I've been keeping an eye on him, and that's Wilson Contreras from the Chicago Cubs. Based on the fact that, look, as much as I love Garrett Stubbs, I think Stubbs has been playing exceptionally well, especially as the backup to JT. Unless JT has, at this point, is washed, because the dude just, even though people say, he's going to have down here, at this point, I mean, we've seen what he has to offer, because like catchers nowadays are not. It's not valuable as it once was. I mean, you were seeing, Yachty pretty much held that down. And look, and Yachty, as a defender, has been an elite defender. What's good, Sante? What is good? Like perfect example, Yachty has been a very consistent elite defender at this last point last year of his career. But offensively, he's been kind of below average, but he still finds ways to. And this also applied. JT has not been kind of guy that I will want to like. Just this comments he made at Cardinals game, which is kind of super smug, and I kind of and let's be real, he's not kind of getting tired of JT. Let's put it that way. JT has not been. I really don't like how JT comes. Hey, Mike, appreciate you tuning in. And Randall, if you're still in here, I got the Padres and Rockies tomorrow at 40 Eastern time. But I appreciate that's been tuning in. Like I said, Jock Peterson, I would not mind having, especially outfield and better offensive production. Same with Xander Bogaerts, because I think we can. Because obviously with Bowman, like I said, Bowman going to be missing time off a dislocated finger, which is better news than expected. Because if you really think about it, even though he might miss some time, but it's not going to be as much time as Gene Segura and all that stuff. I mean, with Harper being out 6 to 8 weeks, so it can't be the worst case scenario. But like I said, it was like what Gene Segura has. Yeah, that's the worst case scenario that's going to happen. Now, I would say if I'm Rob Thompson, I would definitely shift. But then again, I mean, we still got Jairo Munoz has been okay, not as consistent, but then again, he has been been like somewhat of a bit of a replacement for Gene Segura, so it kind of makes really somewhat sense. But I also go after a second baseman in the trade deadline because, like, for real, because not JT, but Gene Segura, my apologies, is pretty much done for the year when it comes to the injury has kind of really just basically, obviously, like I said, with the finger injury, which has been very like a common occurrence with some of the players that some of these players have been dealing with injuries with. Bone with the dislocated finger, Gene Segura with a hand injury, Harper still coming off of thumb surgery. And again, we also got Johan Camargo coming back. That's another guy I think we sometimes miss from time to time because he's been very somewhat consistent, as like a utility guy, and actually had been playing pretty well before prior to getting hurt. And I think another guy. I mean, this one comes from the Philly voice that I pulled up on the computer. Another guy that, like I said, talk about Xander Bogaerts. He obviously 29-year-old multi-time Silver Slugger. Is under contract in 2025, but he does have an opt-out after this year, so I think that's what's good. I think he's opting out of his contract. But Boston is kind of like basically sweating because he would hit the trade market. And the Phillies do have Didi who's on an expiring contract, so we can definitely somehow move from him. Simmons, untradeable Simmons. This is where I would disagree with this guy. Because let's keep it a buck here. Simmons has really not been the same since his early days in Atlanta. Since going to, I mean, he was okay with the Angels, but with the Cubs, man, he's been below average with the Cubs. I mean, that's really nothing to. It's just like, but obviously it was a late start, so it kind of didn't make sense though. And I did talk about the last episode that we were linked to Frankie Montas from the Oakland Athletics. Because let's be real, the Oakland's are wasting his prime. Because let's be real, all the entire fire sale that the Oakland's have really put together. Hosting is another guy I wouldn't mind it because let's be real, if Ranger can't stay healthy, we definitely got to need to start looking at other starters. Castillo, as much as I wouldn't mind that, but it just seems to me that I'm a puncher on this one. I feel that's going to be out of our reach because from what I've understood, I mean, here in like Dodgers are trying to find a way to acquire Luis Castillo one way or the other. So that's probably out of our opportunity. And that's something that I don't want to happen, but it's what it is because like I said, nobody's safe from the trade deadline. When it comes to the bullpen guys, like I said, there's one guy in particular that I want to try to move, and that's Jerry's Familia because like I said this too in my multiple episodes, especially the previous one too. Like Familia has cost us a tremendous amount of games. So did Alvarado. This is at the time when I had also had my criticisms of Alvarado at the same time, but Alvarado has been better as of recently. So he's safe for now until proven otherwise. Apparently they said that according to the Philly Voice, they'll say we're also tied to Michael Fulmer and Willie Peralta from Detroit. So Fulmer has a 2.70 ERA in 20 innings, and Peralta, who has a minuscule 0.81 ERA and 22 in the third innings pitched this year. Yeah, I wouldn't mind having that in the bullpen. If we can get rid of a goddamn Familia, I'm trying to move somebody else out of that bullpen and add those two in there. I want look, just pull the trigger because I mean we have to make moves because, like I said, the Toronto series could also be important as well, based on the fact that we did, like I said, we did split the series with St. Louis, and that's not what I wanted in my honest opinion. Now, not saying that's a bad thing, but still, like that's something you cannot let happen. Because really think about it, because us and St. Louis are kind of really bound for that third wild card spot, and there's going to be a few other teams as well. But the closest I think is just us and the Cardinals, especially coming towards the start break. That's something that I don't want seeing happen at this point. And you know, obviously with the Dodgers playing the Cardinals, like I said, I want the Dodgers to beat down the Cardinals. Because let's be real, we need to start padding a lead in the third wild card spot. Because, like I said, the Cardinals are such a below average team. I mean, look, and you saw they don't even have Harrison Bader. They don't have Yachty. Pujols is on his last legs. I mean, he's still. And I'm not discriminating, not take shots at Pujols, but even though Pujols last year for Pujols, but he's on his last leg. But once like those guys are gone, Wainwright has been the same. In a few years, I mean, but he's still been. But like I said, what I mean by that is like Wainwright has been consistent, but he's not been like the same kind of pitcher he once was. Like I said, 2 or 3 years ago. That's kind of where I'm putting that. Another guy I would not mind, like I said, David Robertson, a Phillies familiar face. A lot of Phillies fans remember. Obviously, dealt with a lot of injuries, which was out of our control. Yeah, definitely. Because actually, to say, as it goes on to say for David Robertson, Phillies fans and perhaps the organization itself likely have a bad taste from Robertson's quote-unquote stint with the Phillies that saw him get surgery and appears just 7 games over 2 seasons. Essentially wasting $21 million. That was kind of ridiculous. But he's absolutely, killing it in Chicago with a 1.66 ERA and 21 and 2/3 innings so far, which is 4 total runs total out. And the benefit was from one of what saw some parts of Robertson, he knows how to be a pain in the ass to lefties and righties. Something that I think, which let's be real, I would not mind taking him back because we do need some help in some of the, and depending on which teams we face, like we need like a guy that can get if like say a lineup that has 3 straight lefties. I mean, David Robertson could be that guy. Another guy I would not mind having is Hunter Strickland from the Cincinnati Reds. Because let's be real, the Reds, they're not a team that's going to be contending in that Central Division, NL Central. Because let's be real, if you looked at the how they started that season, yeah, not the best. You want to take a look at, and I know from Reds fans, man, that team just has not going. It's not going anywhere. But then again, this year has not been the best. Yeah. Okay, that makes perfect sense. But like I said, there's a lot of things that might come in consideration. I mean, like other ways, as like David Robertson. I did talk about Wilson Contreras because let's be real. I mean, Garrett Sloughs, like I said, has been playing pretty well. But no, the dude's nothing but a backup. Now I wouldn't say. I mean, I will say. I mean, if we could definitely make a trade for or find a way to pull the trigger for something like a Wilson Contreras, let's be real, we could definitely use an upgrade over JT because let's be real, JT is not the kind of, like I said, not been the best as it turns out. Well, 2019 he had a pretty good year. 2020 like I said, 2020 season for any other team, we can bump out the window because let's be real, that 2020 season shouldn't count. Let's put it that way. And last year has been somewhat average last year, but overall this year he's been way below average. At this point, definitely feeling the wrath that we overpaid him. And, I really don't like that to my extent that I would like to, in my honest opinion. But like I said, I will talk a lot outside because even if Hunter, Michael Atera is another guy that Hunter actually really made a good video about that too. Because even though Michael Atera has not been the best offensively, but he can definitely still hit. He's an above average hitter at best. But defending wise, as a defender, he's really good defensively. Something that I think we need also in the outfield because look, and I love Matt Vierling. Matt Vierling has been solid. And Kyle Schwarber has been better defensively as of recent. Let's just see. Let's see what MLBTradeRumors.com has to say about obviously one of our better arms that we had at our bullpen as of recently. That's Serenity Dominguez. Coming off of Tommy John, just really looked like he actually, finally looks like he's, finally 100% healthy and just looks so free and easy of what he can bring. Ties up between high 90s, low triple digits. I mean, it's like it kind of should because it brings some consideration that I would say just have him as the closer because Knebel, that's another guy we could hopefully could try to move, definitely can move. Because Knebel has been very inconsistent at times. But since coming out of that closer's role, he has been somewhat inconsistent. Hey, what's good, Jerry Lee? What is good, my dude? Talk about Anthony Dominguez, blah, blah, blah. Nobody cares, but that's so I mean Matt Gilbert, the athletic actually. What's good, Liam? What's good, everybody? Appreciate everybody tuning in today. For another, like I said, another episode of my Phillies Talk podcast. We'll talk all things Phillies baseball, all that good stuff. But yeah, they kind of and Matt Gelb actually brought up an interesting thing, especially as this article states that he suggests that one solution that is we can definitely try to trade our catching prospect Logan O'Hoppe. About O'Hoppe, yeah. That's another guy. I don't know. Really going to bring, like I said, if we can try to find a way to pull some, try to make some moves at the trade deadline, because let's be real, this team is okay, but we got to find a way to improve, especially with the trade. Like I said, the trade deadline was looming in early August, and we're almost hit the halfway point of July. And, that's something that we got to, and if I'm Dombrowski, really take a look at because it was kind of going forward because, like I said, JT, definitely we can find a way to move him because let's be real, he hasn't really been the same kind of guy in the last couple of years. Mickey has been turned out to be a bust. And obviously Odubel has been inconsistent. We all know that's pretty much as well. But obviously, we were also linked to Brian Reynolds from the Pittsburgh Pirates. I don't think that's going to happen. But if we can find a way to pull a trigger for him, interesting. Not like my Phillies means shit. We split with the goddamn Cardinals in the Central. Like I said, teams that we should not be splitting with, like the Cardinals, for example, we should have taken 3 out of 4 in St. Louis. But overall, in the end, we still took the season series away from St. Louis. But the fact of the matter is, it's just this team has been very frustrating the last in certain series that we should have won a lot of games. Hell, even like I said, going back to the early of the season when we started prior to when we still having Girardi and that slow start we even had, it got to the point where he was reliant on Familia and not to do it really was tremendous amount of it pain in the ass to really see that that happened. Now with the way everything is going, especially under Ron Thompson, now obviously Ron Thompson has his fair share of mistakes of at times, giving Mickey Moniak one too many opportunities. Now, and that's where I will kind of say, where that's where I will blame the organization is not letting that kid just go. Like, cut your losses with him. If you can't produce at the major level, keep him in the minors, or at this point, use him as a trade piece. Because let's be real, Mickey Moniak. So my next MLB game is the Padres and Rockies. For those who are either of a Rockies fan or a Padres fan. But Liam, I do have your Pittsburgh Pirates later up in the month. I think the 26th, yeah, when the Pittsburgh Pirates take on the Chicago Cubs. So that's a little what I have coming up. Yeah, but okay. Brian Reynolds, another guy I wouldn't mind, but that might be. I just really don't see that's going to happen, though. In my honest opinion, it's really. Let's see. What do we got? So we got some. Okay, so Rafael Marchand and Nick Duran. Okay, wow. Actually, I didn't even see anything about that. So Rafael Marchand's another guy that. Now this is where a lot of times people say, or a lot of some Phillies fans, want to try to trade him and get something somewhat decent in return. But I think overall, I mean, the short time that Marchand has been up in the major leagues, I mean, he has not been that terrible. I think it's like Moniak, like I said, kind of go back to my thing on Moniak. Getting way too many opportunities in the major league level has not really figured it out. Figured it out. I mean, think about it. We had him for six goddamn years since he was Brian Reynolds on the team. Yeah, I saw that he's on the IL, but my Phillies are still linked to him before the trade deadline. Like I said, we've been linked to many different players. Like I said, Willie Peralta, Michael Fulmer. A lot of times people don't realize another guy, like if you do want to get rid of Marchand. Now this is where I would say, try to make a move for Wilson Contreras, because I think you're going to get a younger catcher in Contreras who actually is a better hitter than JT and a much better defender. Let's keep it real here. That's just how I kind of see a lot of things, in my honest opinion. Because I've always liked Wilson Contreras. I mean, and especially in the even like the early days, when he actually helped make that Cubs team pretty good, and especially then in that 2016 postseason. Now I will say, because it's like, yeah, we all get that, the Cubs blew that team up. Got rid of the guys that they were there. The only one that still remains was Contreras. No, I will say, I think Contreras. I think I would definitely make a move for Contreras. Now the question is, what can we give up? I mean, I don't know what the Cubs are looking for nowadays. I don't know what their needs are. I don't know who is the backup to Contreras. That's the biggest question. So I'm going to have to see what Gould. I don't know that, because I have to ask Gould, because Gould, another fellow colleague of mine at Spotlight Sports Network, is a Cubs fan, and he knows how he pretty much calls them the lovable losers. And this is the crazy part too. And it's just like, the Phillies, like I said, I'm going to go back to what about Contreras, another guy that I think a lot of times people don't realize that I think we could definitely be linked to, because let's be real, our catching depth has not been the best. Now I will say, like I said, going back to Garrett Stubbs has been better since, being the backup to JT. And JT, like I said, has been it's just like, and we all saw the regression, and the age is finally catching up to him. Not the same catcher as he once was, and I just don't. Not a guy. Let's be real. Kind of smoke comments that he's made after about, especially with the upcoming Toronto series. That's where I would say, I would definitely cut my losses with JT because I think he's showing that. It's just like seeing these players really don't care as much as of everything as has been going on as of recently. Especially if you're going up to Toronto. And this is where I will draw the line with Toronto at times. I mean, you got to really lessen restrictions, because let's be real, we're on the back end of this goddamn pandemic. Well, that's here nor there. But like I said, I mean, Toronto, I thought they could have been a lot, and that's another team I thought they could have been a lot better, especially in the AL East, but really hasn't really turned. Has been they've been okay, but the game kind of also that's another team flying in the AL East. But like I said, I mean, Willie Peralta, Michael Former, I would not mind having those two guys in the bullpen to replace. If we'd say we do move on from Knable and Familia. Because I see that because like the Detroit Tigers are not going anywhere just yet. Now I will say, I mean, it's just like there's going to those like I say, also kind of go like I've been even though I've been kind of ranting and raving on Contreras. That's another guy I wanted to try to see if Phillies can try to pull in because you really think about it. Because our catch room has not been like I said, hasn't been the best. Garrett, the only one has been pretty good as consistently, and that's Garrett Stubbs. Garrett Stubbs has been the guy that pretty much stepped up because let's be real, JT's taking a huge step backwards because his age is starting. Like I said, his age is starting to catch up to him. Everything else has really kind of really shown that it just really doesn't. I don't know. Like there's something about JT I don't like. I don't know if it's just. Hey, what's good, Butterfly? What's good? It's good. But I appreciate everybody that's been tuning in because me ranting and raving on the Phillies a little bit because this is the show. This is the show. This is the kind of show that, yeah. But like I said, I mean, it's the issue that sometimes I would draw with the sometimes I don't know, but that's just kind of taking maybe the because the thing about it is, like I said, like I'm kind of go back to the trade deadline is coming up in August 2nd. Like I said, I'll be live for that, for like the live reactions and all that stuff. But like I said, but some of the guys that I think the Phillies could try to make a move for, that's Jose Quintana from the Pirates. Let's be real, but it could be better from somewhat of a better upgrade over Gibson, who's been, let's be real, not the best in terms of being consistent. Because I would rather have, because at this point, because Gibson just really can't get anything going. Now we'll say, and Bohm, I would still keep like another. Well, I don't know when his contract is truly up. So I mean, Bohm has been he's starting to come around at the major league level. Now we'll say, sometimes are kind of get a little bit rough around the edges on him because it's like, yeah, I mean, the fact we called him up in I think during the pandemic, I think he had called him up during the pandemic season. I could be completely wrong, but I think everything. Even though the fact that he had a tremendous down year since it was his first full season in the major leagues, and he's really starting. He's not been the best, but he's been above average, and it's been. And sometimes it has helped the Phillies a lot, especially. What's good, Death Greatest Kid? Appreciate you tuning in as well. Appreciate everybody that's been tuning in. Kind of giving my thoughts on the things where the Phillies are at, and obviously with this. Unfortunately for Phillies fans, yeah, so the Phillies, we're going to have another bullpen day. So we're going to have Bolaño on the fucking mound. And that's where this is why I said kind of go back to, kind of go after starting pitching, get like a player like Frankie Montas or, yeah, I mean, that's just, I don't know, man. But yeah, like I said, I mean, the fact that this team has just really, the front office has to fucking do something because this is embarrassing to say the least. Like I said, split with the Cardinals, not the best idea or not. Let's be real, not the best series I've hoped. I mean, because the thing is, like, even going back to the Cardinal series, I think to myself, like, the best case scenario is to sweep the Cardinals because it's just that. No, I don't know. The Cardinal series is like I even said this too. This is what I was thinking to myself. Like best case scenario, you could definitely sweep the Cardinals because let's be real, the Cardinals have been playing like a below average team, but over because obviously there are another team that's in the wild card race, a little bit behind the Brewers in the NL Central. Like I said, the NL Central has not been. Let's be real, keep it the best division in the National League. That's just kind of what my kind of take on it is. But for me, it's just like the Phillies have to find a way to. It's just try to really get some good pieces that can actually pan out, and if Dombrowski can find a way to pull off like a, acquiring some like a Louis, not Louis Castillo, because he might be more tied to the Dodgers than anything else. Um, but yeah, kind of go everything else. It's like, I don't know. Maybe that's just how I see it. I mean, from what I've been seeing a lot all on social media at the moment. I know because Contreras, I know he's been like the biggest hot trade piece as for the last year and a half, give or take. When I've understood. I mean, Luis Castillo, I knew he was going to be a trade piece because let's be real, that Reds team ain't going to contend anytime soon unless the owner sells the goddamn team in Cincinnati. But I don't think that's going to happen. But that's just me. But it's just I don't know. I want to kind of get your like I don't know, but it's just like what do we got when it comes to trade? Because I know, and wow, so this actually so this was actually 2 days ago. So Tim Kelly actually put this article up on July 10th. Kind of titled, this is still a rumor that the Brewers are willing to listen to offers for Josh Hader. Now, another guy that if we can get it, that's another guy I wouldn't mind having the bullpen because let's be real, the Brewers, they're good, but their bullpen has been somewhat. I mean, Hader has been somewhat struggling in certain games, and I think the only thing that's really been great. Hang on a second, guys. Yeah. But yeah. But like I was saying too, it's just like this team has been. So cares about Bob Nightingale has. He's been kind of Bob Nightingale has been kind of. So Milwaukee pretty much has a 48-38 record, which still leads the NL Central. Still retaining that, but 26-27. Absolutely. So, and I think this is where actually it was interesting because when I actually read this the first time, it says because Tim Kelly said, quote says, it would behoove the Phillies, like all contenders, to touch base with the Brewers. After all, the Phillies haven't had someone consistent closeout games since trading Papelbon in July of 2015. Yeah, and Papelbon was not the best when he was here. He was, like I said, not the best, but he was okay, in my honest opinion. But yeah. But then again, they also said about obviously Logan O'Hoppe, who's been kind of been in the trade rumors too. But the thing is about it is like from what I've understood about the Phillies, if they make our prospects make Abel and Andrew Painter, like those are guys I think the Phillies got to start making untouchable because let's be real, because I think McAbel has actually done, like from what I've understood in the minors, has been doing pretty well. Same with Andrew Painter. Who also got promoted, I think Clearwater. No, past. I think to Reading. I think he's up to either Reading or somewhere. I think somewhere getting up there towards on the way to his until Double A. So that remains to be seen. But yeah, so I would not. I don't want to give up some like Pain. Because Abel, I've seen a couple highlights out of him because I think he's kind of where I think a lot of times people were he was most talked about high school prospect, and it's just it's just how I don't know. Maybe that's just I'm calling it crazy because I don't know, but I just it's being like I said, being a Phillies fan, it has been very frustrating, and the fact that we can't that. Like I said, Middleton, like another part of the Phillies organization I've been very critical of, and many Philly fans in general, because the fact that, like I said, the fact that you're going to hand, and this is where a lot of times, even I said, me and my few colleagues, or even my good old friends of mine, we were kind of talking about this. Yeah, he's pretty much the fact that, yes, it's good to see this team really spend over the luxury tax, but has it helped us? As of this point, somewhat yes and no, because if you really think about it, because Dombrowski, because I think Milton's handicapping Dombrowski. What I mean by that is that, like, say for example, if you want to get a guy that's been very consistent and offers him a large contract, Middleton doesn't want that. And something like, and the fact that, kind of go back to when we signed Schwarber and Castellanos, both have been below average defenders, but somewhat good on the offensive end. But like I said, Schwarber has been better defensively as of late in this point of the in this stretch of time, and it's not a bad thing. I think because Castellanos has been very below average this team. Now, granted, it isn't his first year, but he's got to learn to pick the pace up, because you cannot be can't be going ice, struggling at this, especially before the All-Star break. Now, I will say, congrats to Schwarber making the All-Star team as a part of reserves, but everything that Schwarber has, I know Schwarber's doing what he's can to help with this team, because let's be honest, like I said, Castellanos really hasn't done much. Hell, he's not even in double-digit home runs this year. So we're up to this point in this part of the year. Was that I think he might have 8 something like that, and like a high RBI total, which is really ridiculous. But yeah, about that. I was trying to see. But yeah, Tinka Rose. It wouldn't hurt to make the call. The scene. St. Clair off the Nationals, but I know that hasn't really turned out for us. I don't think that's going to happen. Yeah, it's so cheap. The crazy part of this too, while we still got another 15 minutes or so, it's just that the Phillies overall, this team has been so far inconsistent to the point where it's getting what's it gonna get? How long what does it have to take to acquire guys, say, like a Wilson Contreras, or at least get some guys that can actually help this team try to win baseball games? Because like I said, JT, perfect example. JT is one of those guys that's not really helping this team win games. And, Kyle Gibson, this is the exact same thing, because the fact that Kyle Gibson, and obviously, he had, prior to, all this, before this Toronto series, had some more than multiple good starts, and then just for some reason just completely hit the off button. And, JT, like I said before, his age is starting to catch up to him. Not the same catcher as he used to be. I still don't think he's the best catcher in baseball. I don't think a lot of baseball fans realize that. And it definitely shows, because right now the only guy that's been very consistent when it comes to the catching room, that's Garrett. Like I said, Garrett Stubbs. Now, that's the crazy part, though, because Garrett Stubbs came out of nowhere. Absolutely. The All-Star game, but this is where I think this is where the All-Star game, I feel where might have some benefits. It's where a lot of teams can really see who, especially before coming to the trade deadline. But I will say that the fact that Kyle Schwarber is going to be representing us and the home run derby is going to be interesting. Well, not so interesting, but look, the fact that he has struck out more than over 100 times. Prior the fact that he struck out that many times and before the All-Star break is crazy to say the least. But the fact that he's almost at 30 home runs in his first year with the Phils is, I'll give him somewhat of a pass. But dude, you got to step it up with this, especially learn how to put the ball in play. Start relying on the home run ball. That's where my thing kind of takes the I will say takes a turn. That's just kind of my take on it. But another guy, I did mention, in my last episode, that was Andrew Benintendi from the Kansas City Royals. Now, the thing with Benintendi is, he's just been a trash player. Look, it's just I don't think he's the same guy as he used to be. I said just move him at the trade deadline, because Garrett Stubbs has been consistent. Like I said, and I did mention this guy once before in my previous episode. That was Andrew Benintendi. Andrew Benintendi, from what I remember, has always been a good hitter. Always been an on-base machine. Something that I think the Phillies could use, because let's be real, since losing Harper to that thumb injury has been a pain in our ass in the ways that, it's just we have to rely on guys that kind of stuck in the outfield. But like I said, Schwarber has been better as defensively has been better. I think his defense is kind of starting to pick up his defense a little bit a lot of times. And yes, I mean, granted, he was a horrible defender, but he's learned how to. I think he's realized he's really stepping up, picking up his defense, trying to fix his defense a little bit. Castellanos pretty much self-explanatory. Been a below average player so far in his first year. But John, because this it goes on to say this was June 29th. This record was put out on June 29th. But John Morosi. Yeah, that's what I was That's what I was kind of discussing. Like literally, like, and the way you could also put that in comparison is when the Sixers don't have Matisse Thybulle. That's a whole different thing in its entirety. But John Rossi of MLB Network, this is actually in the article, report that Wednesday Benintendi is a name to watch given the limited financial impact of his inspiring contract and his connections to Phillies president Dave Dombrowski after 4 years together in Boston. I thought he actually, and those years in Boston, I thought he actually had pretty good years in Boston. Let's keep it real here. A single trade, it's still saying this is actually absolutely the truth. A single trade isn't going to fill the massive void left by Harper. The rating NL MVP was putting together another terrific season, slashing 318, 385, 599 slash line with 15 home runs, 9 stolen bases through 64 games before the injury, which, let's be real, that sucked. That really took everything out of this team. Now, and something that said, Benintendi can provide a stabilizing force for the Phillies lineup that lacks depth. Well, ain't that the goddamn truth? You're really lacking the truth. You're saying the truth out there. The 27-year-old Cincinnati native posing his best season with the World Series winning Red Sox when he compiled an 830 OPS with 16 homers, 21 stolen bases, and 148 games en route to a 5.0 WAR per Fangraphs. He's like that all-time around production for the Royals this season. Yeah, because the fact that he wants to go to the fact that he was traded to was he traded to the Royals? No, I don't think he signed with the Royals. But with that out of the way, it's just like, yeah, I think he needs to be on a better team than the Royals, because like I said, the Royals is one of the other teams is not going anywhere. Because like I said, that's a below average team. I did see that we might be, we're also, and Jerry Lee, this is I talked about this not that long ago, is that we were linked to Xander Bogaerts, because if you really think about it, I think he did say he was opting out of his contract with Boston. Bogaerts, I would not mind having over Didi, and if you can slide start at third, if Bohm's going to, like I said, Bohm's really missing time with the dislocated finger. Dubal Herrera, that's going to be very interesting of what we can get back in return from him. Reed, that's a good point. We do have Derek Hall, which has been proven to be a goddamn godsend for us when it comes to guys that can actually can swing the goddamn bat. Now I will say, like I said, I mean, another guy I think. Yeah, Butterfly. Yeah, he's all things Eagles related. So yeah, another good guy to kind of talk to about, even though we don't talk all Eagles football. Another guy that I've said, been very highly on, and was like I said, Contreras out of the Cubs. Let's be real. I think Garrett Stubb has been done pretty well. I think we could do a lot better with Contreras, in my honest opinion, because I think you can get a much younger catcher. You can definitely have a better bat. Let's be real, been a better bat than Real Muto for sure, and much better defender. I mean, we saw that if you looked at it, in his early, during the time, the 2016, during the 2016 season, been very good, very great defensively, been a good hitter. I mean, shit. I mean, and also has really put up a good year, especially a team like the Cubs has been slacking. Let's put it that way. Him and Ian Happ's another guy that's been also throwing in truck and trade talks as well. But it's just how what can we really do to really improve? Because if you really think about it, because tonight, it's a bullpen game once again, because obviously, thank God it's not an all-scheduled start. I mean, Bohm dodged a bullet because of that, because obviously with the dislocated finger, and like I said, you have not that shit's not fun. It sucks when you have a dislocated finger. But then again, the positive is when you look at the injury, and I'm saying not injuries are positive, but kind of putting this into perspective that Bohm is not going to miss as much, not going to miss as much time as what Gene. It's not going to cut like say end his career, end the season early like it did with Gene Segura. I mean, but from what I've understood, I mean Segura is, and that's the thing too. When Segura went down, I think that kind of just went all the shit too in the middle infield because Segura has been been okay for us. Has been very consistent with us. Now I'll say though, I mean, because I don't want to get rid of Segura because Segura has been, like I said, been a very consistent player for us the last since the last 4 years now, give or take. Because we got him from Seattle in 2018. Yeah, that's what I would say. I mean, he's keeping like another year or 2 years, and if he still continues to be the consistent player, I mean, right? Yep, absolutely. But it's that's just where I will kind of this Phillies team as yeah, I do want to keep Segura for like another 2 years. Now, let's say if that's the case, and there's a much better second baseman than Segura, then definitely can get something back in return for Segura. In the meantime, because like I said, Segura has been a career 300 hitter from what I remember during his early days with the Milwaukee Brewers. What other team? I mean, Seattle. He's played. I mean, I'm trying to think what other teams he's played for. I know he. I mean, Segura. Absolutely. Yeah, at that point, take anybody. Like Jared Lee said, take anybody else because it's ridiculous point. And I obviously got to like an hour before first pitch on the between the Phillies and the Blue Jays, and that's another thing too. Like Denver Robinson, I would not mind at least trying to get on a cheap deal to take him back. If obviously this is finally he's actually looking like he's saying he's 100% healthy. Jeff, not like I said, I'm not wasting my breath. Because, like I said, because we don't do well in bullpen games, and we saw that against we did that against the Card. Well, actually, no. Wait a minute. That was no. We didn't even do a bullpen game against the Cardinals. That's right. But another and like that's, but I do appreciate Jeff. But man, I can't. I'm not holding my breath. I'm not wasting my breath because this team, like I said, has been very inconsistent the last 3 years now. Has been really been the best in terms of really trying to get stuff done in terms of just really want to. Because we haven't seen the division title since since 2009. We haven't seen a wild card spot since 2011 against the St. Louis Cardinals, and that's where most of our good players were finally hitting their decline. And with everything that's been going on, I mean, especially with the, I know a lot of teams deal with injuries, but not as bad as we had to constantly deal with that. And we have players that are so much below average. JT for a big example. Didi has been somewhat okay, but not the best in terms of talent other ways. But I appreciate everybody that's been tuning in. Yeah, so like I said, we got like 3 minutes, so we got to like kind of talk a few things here. Like I said, you mean the trade deadline coming up? I got my fellow the fellow Blue Jays fan, Randall the Handle Sports Talk coming on. Because we're definitely going to talk about a lot of teams what teams could use. What the hell? So that is no one that's been ever as what player ice cream. Okay, I remember that now. That's a good point. Because the thing was with Segura, Segura may have some power, but he's been great defensively since getting him from Seattle. It is what it is, though. But I'm really excited to see what the trade deadline is going to bring. And what the hell's going on? Well, that's just me. But yeah, who's in the right now? We're tied for this wild card, and when it comes, actually, that's a good point. Let me kind of actually bring. Yeah, the wild card, the card is just going to be very interesting, especially the American League, because there's a lot of teams that And some teams, I think, like teams like Baltimore, the Baltimore Orioles, who, let's be keeping a buck here. I thought that the fact that they're what have 8 straight at this point at the time. But when it comes to the wild card, though, wild actually, I should pull up my phone via the. But yeah, like the wild card's an interesting thing because, like I said, I want to end this freaking drought as much as a Phillies fan at this point. He's out of the 4 though, so sticking tuning in though. Kind of going back to a few things here. So while we got some time here, kind of discuss the wild card for both the American League and the. As it stands, it's a 2-way tie when it comes to. But we still have a better winning percentage over the Cardinals for the third wild card spot, in the National League because San Francisco, like I said, another team that's been for some reason had the best record last year, and just for some reason just completely took a entire 180. That's just weird. But it is what it is. So obviously Boston's leading the AL wild card by 2 games, and then you got Tampa Bay and Seattle. But then you got Toronto. There's a tie for Seattle, and for the third wild card spot. And then you got Cleveland coming up on the rear by a game, and then you got Baltimore, who is another team that's won 8 straight. And that Baltimore 43 and 44. The fact that and this is where I will end it off here. The fact that teams like really in the thick of things in the AL wildcard, that's impressive to say the least. But like I said, I'll talk more. I'll see what's going to happen to the trade deadline, which I do have a stream set up for that, so you guys want to miss out on that. But before we wrap it up, if you guys are new to the channel, smash the like button, hit the subscribe when you guys are new. And with that being said, I hope you guys enjoyed another episode of the Phillies Talk Podcast, episode 9. With that being said, this is Robert from the Phillies Sports Talk Podcast. I will see you guys in the next one.